Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to our episode. We have our guest, Colin Addley, here from ADDMORE Services. Colin, it is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, Lance. Really appreciate being here today, and it's a new experience for me, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've had a couple of conversations in the past, and I really just need to get your message out and let the world know what you're working on because you're so dynamic, so interesting, and your company is doing some very amazing things.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so why don't you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm from an Irish family. I grew up in London, was educated in London, and I went at 16, a very young age. I did my A levels and my qualifications at night school. It took about 9 years to get through the ONC in construction, HNC in building, member of the Chartered Institute of Builders, member of the Institute of Arbitrators. I did it while I was working in the day and working one day full time at college and 4 nights. And so I was working in the field and learning at night. So I'm fully qualified with many qualifications, but I have been on the building sites and in the field since 16 years old. So pretty young boy out there, fresh-faced lad back there in London. And then I was very fortunate. My uncle recommended me a company in London actually in Caterham in Surrey, called Crowd Construction. And they're great. They're a massive residential house builder at the time. And the good thing was you had to sign. They sponsored me to go to college for the Fridays, and I obviously had to commit to the evenings. And my uncle had to sign me on for a 5-year, what they would call it, an indentured. It was like an indentured apprenticeship where you were signed into the company, but as a management trainee. But the good thing is they had a special training program that I haven't seen too much elsewhere, where they put me 6 months. The first 6 months I was in the field doing land surveying. Then they moved me 6 months into an estimation office. Then they moved me 6 months into the quantity surveying contract administration office. And then for the last 6 months of the first 2 years, they put me into project management. And at the end of that 2 years, they ask you where you think your strengths are and what you enjoy. And they assess it and tell you where they think you best fit. And we both aligned on quantity surveying at the time. I was keen on project management, but I felt that budgets and feasibility is so important in construction. I thought that a good background in understanding how to take off the quantities, how to price a job, how to manage the change orders on a job would be a good skill set for me later on. So I left them actually as a quantity surveyor and moved to another company. So I was working as a quantity surveyor, and I was working on grade 2 listed buildings, and I got more and more involved with acting like an assistant project manager. And I felt that that's where my skill set would be best used as going on, because I felt I would not only felt, but I was told by a lot of people that I was good in. I'm very logical in my planning and scheduling, and I had good planning skills from the quantity surveying. And they told me that yes, you're a good leader of men, that you should go into project management. So that's what I did. And by the time I was leaving London, when I was 29 years old, to go to South Africa, I was a project manager with Bovis, and I had worked on different projects in London, including Butler's Wharf, the Design Museum London, many prestigious jobs. I even worked in Buckingham Palace with my family actually for a while. We did a lot of remedial works there. My family actually, my dad's got 6 brothers and one sister, and they were all in the building industry, and they had the contract for maintaining, restoring all the gypsum roses and the gypsum cornices in the historic buildings. And my uncles were very skilled plasterers and in that field at that time, and they used to run the molds in place. And we often used to go to Buckingham Palace on a weekend and have to finish a room and get it all done, ready for a party or an event that was coming within a couple of weeks. They wanted everything restored. So that was I used to do that at the weekends with my family. So I got a lot of good family experience. They started off as plasterers, but they moved into construction. In fact, they ended up with a bunch of companies and ended up as developers in the end. And I actually bought my first house off my uncle because it was Addley Homes, and I got my first home from them. So I had a great mentors from my uncles in the construction industry. It was a bunch of 6 Irish uncles. Was pretty tough at the time, but the advice they gave me to this day, I repeat their mantras all day long, every day. They were old school. When they finished work, they'd spend another 45 minutes cleaning their tools, putting everything away back in the van. When they left, the back of the van was as neat as if it was left first thing in the morning, so that they were always ready to start. And that stayed with me. I will never leave my office at the end of a working day now, not my tools anymore. I would leave everything in file properly, put away, so that when I walk in the next day, I can just pick up and work. As they used to say to me, an untidy desk is an untidy mind.
I like that. And the thing too is, if you leave a dirty job site, it just, no matter how good the craftsmanship is, it just reflects poorly, right?
Well, especially with their trade like plastering, which is a dirty trade anyway. And nowadays, because then at that time they started, spray plastering became very popular, and they were, you could spray up to like 2 inches thick, and there was a lot of this going on back before I left London, and that used to make an almighty mess. So if you weren't a team of people that were, sort of cleared your area and left things right, then what would happen? The builder's going to clean it and he's going to back charge you. So they said they were sure that we would never give anybody the opportunity to charge us for cleaning our work. We would clean our work every day, and that was just instilled in me from a very young age.
I love that. So what was your next stop after that?
So I had a big family in South Africa and Rhodesia. So I was working with Bovis, and Bovis were working in South Africa doing several large retail renovations in very, very large malls, very complex projects, very fast paced. And when I spoke to my guy at Bovis, I said, is there any chance that I can get over there and get into these projects, even if I just go for a year's experience, international experience? And he said, yeah, sure. And they moved me over, and I ended up doing some really interesting projects. And then I was working, they started doing the Courtyard hotels, which were the Marriott hotels all around South Africa. And I was very involved with those projects for a number of years. And then I was offered a job outside of Bovis. They asked me, would I go to, this was about 8 or 9 years in South Africa. They asked me, would I go to Dubai? And this was back in 1992, something like that. And to be honest, at that time, I'd never even heard of Dubai. And so I said yes, because the political situation at that time in South Africa was pretty volatile. It was when Mandela was just starting to come out of jail, and it was an interesting time to be there. And Mandela's a great man, and South Africa is a great country, but at that time it was on the brink of civil war. That never happened, thank goodness. But it was a great country, great people. I loved it there, but it was starting to get unsafe, and we knew people that not just in the newspaper, on the TV, it started becoming that we knew people who had been robbed at gunpoint, things like that. So we decided, let's get out of there. And this was just perfect timing. So I went to Dubai, and I did this job in the large shop. They just built only the ground floor of the shopping mall. They hadn't done the second floor or the hotel. And I did 4 of the major anchor stores refits for Bovis. And it was like really fast track. The first one had to be done in 16 weeks. Everyone said it couldn't be done, but we did it. And the local Emirati guy, Ibrahim Shraf, who was the owner of the Shraf Group, who had all the retail, he was so impressed with me. After 16 weeks, he gave me gold watches as a gift. I mean, I never had a gift in my life in construction. Wow. And I just thought, this is just an amazing place, because, it's fast paced, but they give you the resources to get it done. If I needed men, I got the men. If I needed materials, I got the materials. So, I just had to make sure I was organized and sequential and double shifts and whatever, but we got it done. And I got on great with those guys. And at that time, the rest of the job, the second story of this is the Dira City Centre, Dubai. I actually shared with you the picture of me with the team on that job.
Yes. Anybody that reaches out to you needs to ask to see that picture.
Yeah, and it's 3,500 men standing behind me on that job, on that picture. And anyway, so that was actually a great day. One of my friends said, we got all the guys were out because we're having there was a clear out going on. and we had a crane there. And he said, why don't we get up the crane and get him? The photographer was there from the company. He said, why don't we get him up there and just get a shot? Because obviously some of these things not always get planned out properly, and the job's gone and the manpower's gone down. It was just a great shot and a great memory. And that was taken in 1994, I think. So so the owner of this Ibrahim Sharaf spoke to the builder, who is actually eventually awarded the second floor of the project and was awarded the hotel, 327 room hotel, 112 apartments, a health club, and the second floor fit out. And they asked me, would I be the project director on the recommendations of what they'd worked with me on the first. And I said, well, I have to speak with Bovis. I've been with Bovis for a while, and they're a very good company. But I do need to get my family out of South Africa. And this was a 2-year contract they were going to give me. No guarantees after that, but at least it made the first step out of Africa into a good, interesting project. And so I spoke to Bovis. They perfectly understood. They were going to move me to Cape Town, actually, to work in Adderley Street, which is named a derivative of my name, which is named after an ancestor of mine, funny enough, who was actually very prime in stopping slavery. And he was one of the ones that why Cape Town never got any prisoners and stuff like that ended up in Australia. He was very pivotal in that. Anyway, they were working on the massive Marks and Spencer's store there in Cape Town. And that was very complicated. It was a tight spot. There was lots of cranes, busy people, busy streets. And it was a job I wanted to do. But I love Cape Town. It's a beautiful place. But it was time to get out. I had 4 young children, and it was time to get out of Africa. I love Africa. As they say, when you leave, you can leave Africa, but Africa never leaves you. I mean, I love it, everything about it, to be honest. And haven't been back for a while now, but got a lot of close friends there and really enjoyed my time there. So I went to Dubai. I mean, that was a new experience back then. It wasn't like now. Sheikh Zayed Road, I think, only had 6 or 8 buildings on the whole road. Now it's a massive high rise from one end to the other. In fact, I was classified as the number 4 South African, although I'm not South African, but I was coming from South Africa and being there, and I was classified as the number 4 South African resident in Dubai. Now Dubai is full of South African people, and great people, very well educated, very well trained, excellent. It was a big bonus for Dubai that they got those people, and good construction people as well. So then when I was there and living there, I finished the project. There was a fit out company that did all the fit out for the hotels, everything. They manufactured all the joinery. They purchased all the carpets, the glass, the drywall, the ceilings, marble. They did everything. And towards the edge of I got on very well with them. I mean, I pushed them hard to finish the job as I was the project director. But they were a very good company and a very quality company. And I got approached by them as my contract was ending. Would I join them as a commercial and projects director? And I agreed to do that. And I joined them. I actually ended up staying with them 15 years. I priced the interiors of all the suites on the Burj Al Arab and some of the public areas, and we got the project. And I was in charge of the interior fit out to W.S. Atkins, were the main consultant. I was, and KCA Quan Chu was the interior designer, and I was liaising with them, basically getting the design, getting all the submittals done, the drawings, organizing the manpower back of the factory, then managing it on site with the installation. It was a great job, and it had to be open by December 1999 because Sheikh Mohammed wanted it ready for the millennium. We all knew that we were building like the Eiffel Tower of Paris, the Big Ben of London, and like now today, everybody, if you show them the profile of Burj Al Arab, everybody knows what it is, and it's become an icon and represents Dubai as an image. And we were aware of that when we were building it, the whole team. And so it was a very special feeling. And I've never worked with a team from owner to subcontractors to consultants. Like if I meet somebody from there, it's like meeting somebody from my old rugby club. I mean, everybody has a huge friendship and time because it was such a special thing we were doing and everybody felt it. And so when that was open on time, when, at the end, it was crazy. We used to have to walk at 6 in the morning, and tell them what we're going to do at 6 in the morning. and at 16th night, walk again, and you had to have done what you said you were going to do. And if you didn't do it without a good reason 2 or 3 times, you're off the project and sometimes out of the country. So it was a tough thing. It was called the 6 o'clock club, to 6 o'clock meetings, 6 in the morning and 6 at night. Yeah. And then we started having to go around sometimes with Sheikh Mohammed and some of the other owners, teams, because we knew all the answers about what was happening when materials were coming for the interior fit out. And that was an experience walking around with a group. He never walks alone. I mean, it's a group of 30 people, but you often get stopped and asked the question, why isn't this here? When is that happening? So, and you had to have the answers. But, we were living and breathing the job, so we had all the answers generally. They didn't really catch us out too much. So it was interesting to meet the ruler of the country personally and, discuss the project with him and his sidekicks that were with him. Paul Petersea was one of them. Tremendous guy, South African guy, big, strong, tough building guy, no nonsense. Great mentorship working under those people. Put you under a hell of a pressure, but they got your back. If you do right by them and the project, they got your back. They're great people. Huge respect for that man. And so
there isn't much pressure like that around the world, right? I mean, that is a tremendous pressure to be working for the ruler of the country.
And the deadline, there was no extension. It had to be open. It was millennium. Like if you missed the millennium, you can't have another go. If you missed it, you missed it. So we had it open, and they had the big fireworks show, and it was good. I mean, we really hit it on time, and it wasn't easy because there's a lot of innovative technology went into there. Like when you're going to the main entrance, there's a water feature that goes all the way up alongside the escalators, and on the side there's aquariums where there are frogmen going in cleaning it. But on that, some of the technology on the water fountains and stuff, they had people that ex-NASA scientists in there. It was really complex stuff. So a lot of unique technology in there. So it was very interesting to be involved with. In fact, for me, I was sent all over the world. I mean, I had to go to Brazil to select all the Azul Bahia granite for the flooring and for the tops. Actually went there twice to Brazil. Funny story, on the second time I went to Brazil, it was the festival. And we got stuck there for like 3 days longer. So I had to phone my boss and say, hey, I can't get back. The festival's on and we can't finish the inspections. He said, well, you have to stay there. So I said, well, okay, we'll stay here. So we saw the festival in Brazil, which was amazing. That was a great experience. And it's funny because the Azul Bahia, I was expecting, been to Italy many times, been in many quarries, but Azul Bahia is actually boulders, rocks that lies on top of the ground. It's not extracted out of the ground. Yeah, so it was very, very interesting. And the owners of the Azul Bahia quarry only accept cash payment. No letters of credit, no transfers. So it was like literally suitcases of money getting exchanged at the bank. It was like pretty hairy in Rio de Janeiro, I can tell you. Anyway, that was all for that project. They sent me to Sweden. All the leather for all the headboards was every headboard in the suites is a full height of leather, which is between 5 or 7 square feet, I think, for each headboard. So it was one cow for every headboard. So when we went to Sweden to the leather factory, we had to inspect every single leather because they wanted perfection. I mean, any materials of a natural nature, there's going to be some slight flaw because it's from nature. But I'll never forget, we spent 2 or 3 days in there lifting hides one by one, checking them for perfection. And then we were there and we got a phone call saying, can you fly from Stockholm? Can you go to Canada? We want to get all the wood selected. And so I met our factory foreman there, and we had to pick up like 6 containers of cherry wood. And it's just an amazing job. And it's like, oh, get on the plane, go and see this, get on the plane, go there and see that. And then we went to Alicante to get Spain.
It's like a movie script.
It was a fantastic job. I was a younger guy then, and the opportunity to travel and to see countries and it all being paid for, and traveling with a group of, senior, very respected industry people and the designers and the consultants. I learned so much in that time span. In that 4 years on that project is better than any university.
Absolutely.
So I finished that job, and while I was there in Dubai, we did a lot of palaces. some crazy things in palaces, like we gold-plated stainless steel handrails with 2-carat diamonds every 2 foot up the balustrade, bringing in white sand from Australia to Abu Dhabi to put on the beach. Can you imagine the guy that sold the sand to him? So I should have him here for ADDMORE Services. Be a good salesman. So that was interesting. So they're all interesting. We did a lot of palaces. I mean, that palace was for one of the rulers of Abu Dhabi, and that was over $1 billion project. That's just for one guy's residence, but it's more than a house. It was like a small resort. He had an equestrian center, a gun range. It was but like a small resort. But it was amazing projects. And then we did a lot of hotels. We fitted out a lot of hotels, all 5-star hotels. We never did anything less, and so we did all 5-star hotels. Mm-hmm. And my old boss just happened to call and say, "Hey, your 2 years is up. I need you back here. I've started a super yacht interior company, and we're doing some very large yachts, like $100 million yachts." And then I came back, and he put me in to manage that. And we had a factory in Germany, so you used to have to go to Germany once a week. And we priced, and we were lucky. Larsen is a fantastic German super yacht builder, and I did 3 boats for them for one American guy. And then we got a chance to do Mr. Abramovich, the owner of Chelsea Football Club at the time, his yacht, which was the largest yacht in the world, which is 750 million euro yacht. And we did one German company did half of that interior, and we did the other half. And for a Middle East company to be able to get into Germany, into that high level work and do it, that was incredible. That was another good bit of sales work by a guy called Guido Dontamaro, who's another great mate of mine who works with me a little bit in London now, but he's a salesman and a half as well. So we had 250 Indian workers from Dubai. I had to set them up in Germany. I had to find a hostel for them, find a place we could buy their food and their spices. And it was, you had to be sort of have a bit of a military brain on you, very logistical, So we did it great. The yacht was fantastic. Amazing features on that yacht, like the deck. You have a disco at night, and then they let the deck, you press a button, the deck goes down 7 stories, and it fills with water. So all the guests in the room, you're looking into the swimming pool at the people swimming. The technology on these yachts is amazing. And he had a party on the yacht. We just finished doing the teak deck. And, teak, if anyone who knows has had a teak floor, anything high heels or sharp will dent it. And this guy was a Russian guy at a big party, lots of Russian models and actresses, all of them with high heels dancing all night. The floor was destroyed. We had to, and it was beautiful the day before, we had to re-sand back the whole deck and re-stain it to bring it back to a level that would be useful. But that's all the money for that type of guy. It's just that's just a side cost of the party for him. But for us, it was just a shame. We had left such a perfect job, and it was just destroyed in one night. So so to run that type of yacht, it's not owning the yacht. You don't have to be a millionaire for yachts. You have to be a billionaire, because it's not buying the yacht. It's the cost of running the yacht. At that time, 100 million euro yacht, they used to say, would cost you about 10 million euros a year to maintain the crew, the fuel, all the rest of it. So you have to. It's big money. That's why a lot of very, very wealthy people in the world don't buy yachts. They charter. They'll have the season in Monaco, and they'll just charter a yacht for 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, it's a lot of money, $500,000 a week or whatever they pay, but it's still a lot cheaper than spending 100 million to build one and 10 million a year to run it. So that was an interesting period. And because we were working with the billionaires on the yachts, we had some fantastic experiences. I mean, I was at Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and a guy called Vijay Mallya came in, who's very famous in India. He owns Kingfisher Beer, Kingfisher Airlines. He came in and said, I'd like you to look at one of my houses I want you to do. And I'll talk to you about my yacht. He had an old style Indian yacht, wooden vessel, but he wanted the interior to be like a super yacht, which we actually did it for him in the end. But he said, will you come and see my house? So I thought we're going to drive around the corner. He took me to the airport. We get on his private plane. We fly to San Francisco. Actually, it was in San Francisco, where you are. Yeah, I was there. And the first time I've ever been there, I went to see his property. And he said, how are you fixed in a week? I'd like to show you my other property. I said, well, where's that one? He said, in Goa, in India. He took me to this place in India. Oh, man. Infinity pool overlooking the ocean. It was just to die for. So we did actually some of his housework, and we did his yacht. And from another millionaire family there called the Raymond Group, who ran a big. These guys are like Maharaja money from years and years. It's not new money. He took me to see the yachts that he wanted to refurbish, and there's a place called Gujarat in India. So we went there by his private helicopter with an ex-military helicopter pilot who worked for him. Just flew up there for the day, walked around, looked at the yacht, flew back. They live another life. So I was exposed to he took me to a Bollywood actress. I forget her name now. It was her 40th birthday. Never seen anything like it. It was like the old 50s movies you see on TV with the champagne glasses and pouring champagne down. And it was amazing. So I had exposure to the highest end quality of interiors you can be exposed to. I mean, on the super yachts, we used to do really exotic finishes from mother of pearl to different types of leathers and skins for different paneling, really exotic and unusual stuff. And so it really was a great experience for me in learning how to sort of negotiate at that level, how to manage those type of clients, because they can be very demanding. Yes. And they're not always, even though they're billionaires, to get your change orders and everything, you have to have your documentation well in place. They're very careful with their money. That's why they're billionaires, probably. But it really was a great, great learning experience for me. I mean, I learned a lot. And so when that was finishing, I got to the point where I had been approached by another company. They asked me, would I go to Hong Kong and set up a project management office for them? And my best friend from school was in the police in Hong Kong. When I went in construction, he was in the police. He went out to Hong Kong when he was about 30, and he worked his way up to a pretty high level when the British were still running, the police force over there. So I'd always wanted to go there because he was always talking to me about it, and I had never, all the countries I visited, and I've been to probably over 100 countries or more in my life, I'd never been there. So I decided, okay, let's do it. And I thought I could see the company I was in, the owner that was there, he didn't have a succession plan. His daughters were not interested to run the business. And my concern was, well, what happens when he stops? If somebody new comes in and brings in a whole new team, I'm just going to be put to one side after 15 years. So I thought, no, let's take control of your life and move on. So, and I was really excited to work in Hong Kong, and it was fantastic. And then as I was working in Hong Kong, I was asked to go and work on the Wynn Palace and Casino, which is in Macau, used to take the ferry across every day for a while before I got another apartment in Macau. And I used to stay in Macau, and then I ended up staying in Macau more than Hong Kong. And that was a fantastic. I mean, I was working closely with Steve Wynn at the time when he used to come out and visit, because the guy I was working for had done the original Wynns in Las Vegas. It's a fantastic project. We got involved with the Studio City, and then they had some problems over in the Philippines on the City of Dreams, and they asked me with the high-end interiors, and they asked me, could I go over there and look at it, and could I help coordinate and get it across the line? Because one thing that I'm known for in my career, when I start something, I finish it, and when I'm given a date, I deliver it. If I'm not going to deliver it, it has to be a very solid reason. I've never had a job in my career that if I didn't deliver it, I did get an extension of time because it was a really valid reason. Because my goal is always, keep the clients happy. That's how you get repeat business. My uncles told me that. My ex-boss, who was a great mentor to me as well there in Dubai, he told me that. And so we were very, very, did every effort in our power to make sure that we try to get things done. And then in parallel, you'd sort of look at the commercial aspect, but we didn't stop anything for money back then in them days. I know that can be difficult sometimes, but sometimes with the type of clients, if you keep stopping every 5 minutes because you're looking for a change order, you're not going to have much business in the future.
Absolutely.
So we knew our clients well. We worked hard, and when you delivered what they wanted to the quality they wanted on time, then we always reached an amicable settlement at the final account, which was fine. So that I had all that experience behind me. So I was doing that out there in Asia. I loved it in Asia. I was living in the Philippines then for maybe 5 years, running another for the same guy in Hong Kong. He decided it was cheaper and easier to set it up in the Philippines, which I told him because I had a lot of connections from all my time in Dubai of Filipinos who'd gone back to the Philippines. I said, I can put you a good engineering team together. So I set his office up in Makati in Manila, and I ran that, I think, about 5 years, and I met my wife there, and then she eventually came back to America. We got married there, and she came back to America with me. We've got 2 beautiful little girls now. So now I've got totally 5 daughters and 1 son, and I've got 3 grandchildren, of which 2 are boys, I'm happy to say. We have a lot of girls, yeah. It's funny because my dad, he's all like 6 brothers and 1 sister, and my mum's 5 brothers and 3 sisters. So I know where all these girls are coming from, but they're great. They're great. I love them, especially the 2 little ones now. So I was there in Asia, and I got the opportunities from the owner. He said, "Look, I'm looking at buying this company. It's a 100-year-old company in New York. Would you go in there and go through the factory, see the processes?" Because I set up several in my time in Dubai. I had set up several joinery factories and been very heavily involved in the managing of them. And I'm talking joinery factories with 2,500 people, with our own upholstery department, with our own steelwork department, big teams. We had 12 CNC machines. It was huge. You don't in America, you don't see factories of that scale very often. In Vietnam now there are some big setups, and also in China, and even Malaysia, around the world. Even here in the States there are a few. But so with that experience, he asked me, being from my QS original background, I'm very logistically minded. So I went through the process, see where the bottlenecks were, why that's happening, what can we do? It's too much. And basically there was a lot of old school paperwork, triplicate, too much paperwork, too many steps to get something done. You had to just do too much, and it slowed everything down. So I gave them a very detailed report. They were very, very happy with that. And they actually then in the end decided to start a new company. And they asked me, I was in New York then for them at that time. Just thought I was going to do that contract for them. And then I was going to go back to Hong Kong. And they said, well, will you stay as the COO of the company? So I said, well, if you can get me the green card. And I was very blessed because being an Australian citizen, they have a special arrangement with America where you have an E3 visa, and you can get it in 3 weeks, and you can live and work in the States for 3 years. So I got into America very easily on a working visa for them. And then they sponsored me for my green card and got me my green card. And I've been here 8 years now. I'm actually going for my citizenship in 2024 here in the States. So I was working for them in New York. We're working on big projects. We're working at Hudson Yards, the Modern Museum of Arts, the residential buildings. We were down a lot of Manhattan, very high-end projects, 10, 12, $15 million apartments. A lot of stainless steel swimming pools, which was new to me, which would cantilever out over the street. Some new construction techniques I learned there, and how to work in New York. New York is it's a tough place to work. It's quite aggressive. It's very, very busy. But it was another blessing in my life. I'm being from an Irish family. New York is like an Irish state. There's a county. There's so many Irish people there. I fit into New York. I sort of went to some Gaelic football matches and hurling, met up with some guys. We had some Irish guys at work. Next thing you know, you're fully into the Irish community. And then all the doors started opening up nicely for me. So I found life quite comfortable. And so between that and there's a lot of English guys there. So between my Irish and the English connections, and there was guys there, a lot of guys who had been involved somewhere or another out in the casino, like architects and that had worked in Asia, in Hong Kong or in Macau. So there's a lot of that background that I had. I met a lot of acquaintances. So after nearly 4 years in New York, there was like a feeling that the pandemic was coming. It hadn't started, but it was like it was on the news. People were dying and stuff like that. And my wife's brother and family were in Las Vegas. My sister and her 4 kids were in Las Vegas. So we felt we've only got the family in America in Vegas while we're living in New York, as much as we love it. So we decided to move to Vegas for that, mainly for family. And I always wanted to work on the Las Vegas Strip, because if you do hotels and casinos all your life, that's like the holy grail of casino building. It's big jobs, and so it was on my bucket list. And when I went there, thinking, oh well, with my experience, I'm going to get some type of job on the hotel industry. The lockdown came in, and all of a sudden there was no jobs for anybody, even the guys there. So a good buddy of mine said to me, "You've worked all over the world. You know the countries, you know the cultures, you know the people. Why don't you? You've got the people. You have all the engineering teams that you know from Dubai. And a lot of guys were contacting me for, can you help us get work?" They said, "Why don't you bite the bullet and just see what you can do?" And at that time, hybrid working or working from home, that was all pretty foreign to everybody. And Zoom, like this type of meeting now, it's so normal to all of us to have 20 faces on a screen having a meeting, when back then it was pretty weird to have Zoom meetings. So I did. I started the company, and I was very, very lucky that one of the companies in the Middle East, all the management used to work for the company that I worked with in Dubai. They all knew me, and they were guys junior to me. But in that company, now, of course, these guys were all in their 40s and 50s by this stage. They were all senior guys, and they said, "Oh, well," I'd let them know what I was doing. Said, "Well, we can help you." And they took 20 of my joinery drafters, and I've had them working for them solid for 3 years. And that really set the company, started me off, and it was perfect. And then I started working for other people that I know. And that's one of the things why I'm talking with you. A lot of the work that I do now comes from people who know me, because I know if I commit to something, I will do it. You don't have to worry, because my teams are in Manila, and we're going to let you down on your drawings. Even if I have to lose money to finish a job on something I commit to, I'll lose the money and I'll get it done, because my name is more important than a few $1,000s. So and that's what I've done, and I just built the company up, and I took it up to 67 people, and I think this was going good. My goal was to go for 100 people, but then I saw an opportunity. Again, a guy who I had known in Dubai for 25 years earlier, a British guy, he was working for the cost management company on the Fontainebleau, and we happened to meet up out of the blue. We met up after 25 years on that job. And so I got introduced to the management, and this was at the very beginning when they just reactivated doing the job after it being closed down for 12 years. And with my background, they wanted me doing estimating, and they wanted me doing project management, all for the owner's representative team. And I was reporting to a guy called Glenn Russo. He's an excellent American builder, project manager of large projects, did a lot of work for the owner, Jeffrey Sofa. And they gave me the job. So I took a 2-year contract with them, but I kept my company running because my brother-in-law is in the Philippines. I was getting the business, and then he was executing it. And I would go home from work at like 5:30 at night, say. I'd have an hour's rest, have something to eat. And then from 7 till midnight, I'd be running the business. So it's pretty long, tough days. But I really enjoyed my time on the Fontainebleau Hotel. It's the largest hotel under construction at that time. And even like it had 127 elevators in the job, which I was responsible for. That package is one of the packages I had. I think it was 29 escalators, one of them being like the second or third biggest in the world. The pool deck is 9 acres. That's the size of the pool deck. It's just, everything's just massive. And the number of rooms, the number of square feet, it's like there's nothing small. The job, we had a theater there, 4,000 people theater. I was involved managing that package. We had the day club, the nightclub. There's so much, and there's 36 restaurants and bars. It was a fantastic job. I finished my 2 years. I had taken my areas to the point that I was managing were all under basically getting into the punch list stage, where I agreed that they didn't really need to extend me. They had given me a young engineer to mentor, and I had done that. He's a very smart young guy. He's only 24, and he's 26 now. And I invested a lot of time and effort in helping him, and he was kept on to oversee the punch list work. And of course, I'm available at any time they want to call me. And it was really time for me to build on my company. And so when I left Fontainebleau, my goal now it's my original goal. I want to have 100 people minimum working in the offshore outsourcing, remote working business.
Right. Well, tell me a little about your client base for ADDMORE. Who is your typical client at the moment?
Well, it started off with a lot of joinery companies because of my 15 years running one of the biggest joinery and fit out companies in the Middle East. They wanted, I had at that time, at least 40 of my engineers had been with me over 15 years and had worked with me in maybe 1 or 2 companies. And the minute I had started my own company, the word went round, and I had no problem in getting like 15, 20 years experience, industrial engineers and architects who had worked in the factories and were really top of the game. So I was taking those guys on. I had a really reliable workforce. My CAD manager, he had worked with me, I think, about 20 years. My office manager, she's worked with me something like 25 years. Wow. Of course, my brother-in-law is family. My sister-in-law does a bit of work for me personally in the business, helping me keep myself in order. So it's a very close-knit group of people who've known each other a long time. And then when we got to the point where I needed to get more people, the first recourse was obviously to ask my guys, okay, who are you going to recommend to me? And don't bring me anybody that's not as good as you. And slowly, we started bringing more people in. We do a very extensive pre-qualification. I mean, I know it actually can be off-putting for some of the candidates, because if you've got 20 years experience after having a degree and a master's degree, and you've worked in Singapore and Hong Kong and Dubai, and you've got some guy making you go through the hoop with tests of, like, if he says he can do Excel, I want to know what level. Is he basic? Is he intermediate? Is he advanced? Can he do pivot tables? So they have to do different tests, and not just say they can do it. I want you to show me you can do it. And so we have really some exceptionally talented people, I've got to say, to be honest. And I've been blessed with it. And I've got a group of people pre-qualified waiting to join me. I just don't have that extra work to give them, because obviously I have to keep the guys working with me continuously rolling, which is not always easy. It's like throwing stakes into a lion's den. They finish the work so quick. I mean, on a joinery job, usually a big joinery job for us can be just 1 to 2 months, and that might be a team of 7 to 10 people doing a hotel job or something. The other jobs can be 6 months. The job that we did where they took 20 of my guys for the 3 years, that was exceptional. That was just a blessing, really. So we've got the people, and I've got people waiting for me, but I'm at a point now where it's gone beyond me just calling people I know saying, hey, how's things going? What can I do for you? I need to have a source of work that's going to come in, generate from my marketing. We've been upgrading our website. We're looking carefully into the SEO, but everybody who knows SEO, it's a slow game. That's not overnight going to fill your funnel with a lot of work. So we're going with some new stuff. I mean, we're trying things. We've got a company that we're working with who's going to got a special emailing approach for us. We're doing some SMS approach. Actually, I don't like cold calling or cold emails myself, because I don't like getting them myself. But my son, who is in Australia, he has 3 companies of his own where he does a lot of telesales work. And he actually swears by SMSs. He says people have got the phone in their hand. If they got an SMS and they read it, he said 100 might not ignore it, but you might get the one who answers it who's got a hotel to do. So I listened to him. So we have our own telesales team now in the Philippines. They're like 7 people, and they have specific countries and areas they follow, and they're actually starting to bring me leads for work. But that's also slow because the people they bring in don't know me, and we have to go through that whole thing. But that's where I'm at. I need to help market my company in a modern way. We're very much watching AI, but from a human intelligence point of view, working with it, not it dictating what we do, and just letting AI run loose. But we're very closely watching it. I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. For doing blogs, we used to use blog writers. Now I do it myself. I'll use ChatGPT. Then I edit it quite a bit. And even now, ChatGPT generates images, which I can create to suit a post. It's amazing technology. But I do think it needs regulating. And actually, I did a post about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, where New York are already seriously laying down some rules and regulations of how it's going to be monitored and controlled. And I don't think that should be done state-wise. I think that if it possibly, it should be done nationwide, so we have a standard policy rather than every state being individually different. But it is something that's going to need controls because it could get out of hand, that's for sure. But it is an amazing tool. I mean, some of the stuff, the new technology, using drones are amazing for reports. Like on the Hotel Fontainebleau, we do a monthly report back to the management, and we had drone photography that was inserted into there, could take views of the roofs that would be so difficult to do otherwise. And then, we use some amazing technology on that job. We have, like the robot hoovers you've got for the floors to clean. You put this thing down, you put in your CAD drawings into it, and it lays the whole floor out for you. You don't have to have somebody laying the floor out. It lays it out perfectly.
Wow.
Some of the technology is amazing. Another one, you can actually superimpose the 3D of the job on the actual job site. So you're looking at the columns and you can see the lines of where everything should be. It's just like virtual reality. It's all coming, and 3D printing is another. I mean, they're building houses, they're building 3D printing is a huge thing that's not talked about as much as other things. And sustainability. I'm a big sustainability buff. The world needs us all to be conscious of that. When you've traveled a lot around the world, as I have done for over many decades, you can see changes. Things we all have to take that seriously and believe in. There's a lot of very great owners who are investing the extra money to make sure that their jobs are sustainable. Dubai is amazing. It's really been awesome how they have invested into this as well. Australia is, it goes without, in Australia, it just goes without saying. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on, and I'm just looking forward to taking it to another level, really.
So, Colin, with the advances in technology, with offshore work and remote work being a lot more accepted within not only construction and general industries, you combine that with ADDMORE and your personal experience along with your team's experience, like that is a home run. If America's learning to buy more into offshoring certain functions so that you can focus on what you're best at. Did you have a message for anybody out there that might be on the fence about it, or maybe trying to dip their toes?
We do have the guys like me, the grumpy old guys like me in their 60s who are, I've always done it this way. I'm not changing, and change is inevitable. If you want to grow your business in this day and age, if you're not, I'm 64 years old. I'm still going on courses. I'm still educating myself. I'm seriously considering doing a PhD when I stop work. People, you have to keep your mind working. You have to keep up to date with it. I work with a lot of young people I've been fortunately in Asia. You don't work with anybody over 30. They're all youngsters, but it's great because, I've got my son and daughters are all in that sort of age group. And you open your mind to it and you listen to them. For ADDMORE, we're even about to start a TikTok business campaign. And somebody said to me, "What the heck are you doing on TikTok, Addley?" And I said, "Well, it's out there. It's a different market. They're younger. You got to get in and out with something catchy in 30 seconds. But when you hit the right one, it's a home run. So
yes.
I'm gonna try it. Why not?
I love your spirit. I love your entrepreneurial spirit. That's, you don't shy away from new things. You take what you know, you try to incorporate it in, and that I admire that.
Well, saying that, AutoCAD has been around a long time, and that's my bread and butter. But BIM, built-in model. When I was working in Dubai, I spent a period of time, 2 years, working for DAMAC as their vice president of interior design and fit out. And they asked me to look into BIM at that time, and this would be 2000, probably 10. So we looked into it, and we started doing some projects, and it was amazing because when somebody wanted to change something, you can move the door, let's say, or a couple of doors and a window, and then all the quantities just got adjusted as well. It's just an amazing technology. Anybody who's not involved in it or into it, you're out of date already. So we started one of our divisions is called ADDMORE Virtual Studio. And that is one where we've started a BIM division. I employed a BIM manager. It's a small division at the moment. We've got 7 people, but I intend that is a big part I would like to grow because we can offer very good prices and it's a very skilled architectural team. And we can grow it. I mean, I've got people waiting to join me who are pre-qualified, and I'm not talking guys out of university. There's a lot of outsourcing companies. They'll give you people and they'll give you rates. But when you look at the people, they've got 2 years, 3 years experience. My people, after a 5-year degree, have got 15 years experience as the minimum. We don't employ them less than that because all my guys generally have had time in the field at some point because I don't believe, how can you be a good joinery drafter if you've never seen it getting cut and fabricated in a workshop? You have no idea. You're just going from a book. So all of us, even me, 16 years old in a building site, I've spent even now at 62 and 40 to 64, I was on the building site again for Fontainebleau, walking the paddock, as they say. And it's great because that's where you see it, you learn, and the experience that you've gained, what I did realize on this Fontainebleau job, you see the problems before they're arising, and you can prevent a lot of costly rework. So I think we definitely have value to add as a mature, heavily experienced older network out there. And on that site, I would say the average age was about 50. If you see even the workforce, it does concern me. Where is the next generation of skilled tradesmen? In Las Vegas, you've got great unions, you've got great skills, but they're all in their late 40s into their 50s and above. And you'd walk around that building site and I'd see all the skilled trades there were, 45 to 55-year-old men. And where's the next generation of youngsters coming up? It does worry me a little bit for the industry.
Well, also,
I'm very passionate about the industry.
Yeah, and speaking on construction managers, I mean, there is a new wave, a very large wave of younger construction managers. As somebody who's worked around the world, managed very large projects, what's some advice and concerns that you might have that you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, the thing that I've seen, and I was very lucky. The young engineer they gave to me, he wasn't your typical. He was very practical, hands-on guy. Amazing kid. Now I have told him he should go. He hasn't completed his degree, but it's probably better he didn't because he didn't really know where he wanted to be in construction. Now he has a better idea. He can choose a better degree, and I've told him at 26, get your degree now because later on in your career it will be a block for you promoting up. If you don't work for yourself and you work for a career in a company, if you don't have a degree or a master's in this day and age, you won't get up the corporate ladder. And he's a smart guy. What I see though is a lot of guys, they go and they get a degree, they get a master's, they're 26 years old, they've never hardly been on a building site, they want to come straight in and run a job, and they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have the field experience. I think what happened to me as a young guy, and I'm not just saying for me, the best thing ever happened to me was that 6 months in 4 different divisions to find out what I liked, what was I best suited at. I might like something, but maybe I'm more skilled at something else. And so, being a young field engineer, being a young assistant superintendent, all those type of fields, you can become the project manager, by the time you're 30 or whatever, but you'll have far more respect out on the building site. I never had anything but respect in my career on the building site because I didn't spend the last 40 years sitting in an office. I've been plenty of time in an office, but as I got older, but I've been in an office on a building site, even the Fontainebleau. Our offices were in the car park of the building. So you're walking the job every day. You're meeting the guys, and you're saying, right, let's go up. Let's look at it in reality. Let's check it out. And that's what these youngsters, if they really want to make an impact, and I applaud them for getting the degrees, but I think they've got to get that field time in. If they want to gain the respect, if they want to gain the knowledge, they can come out of university with a master's degree, but you put them on a site, say, right, set me up, I'm doing this petition in this corner, lay it all out for me, lay out the floor studs. They don't know where to start. And if you're standing around with a group of master builders, you've immediately lost all their respect.
Yes, so, you have to have your stuff together.
Yes. So for me, I mean, I've done my time of setting out on building sites, and and then once they know that you get into the clique, and everybody listens to you, and your word has value.
Yes, life is good.
Yeah, life is good. Yeah, it is good.
Yeah. So, what are some of the benefits of outsourcing to the Philippines? I think everybody looks at it from a caution and risk management standpoint, but first, let's talk about some of the benefits. That way, we can get an understanding of motivations.
Yeah, I do understand the concerns, and I face it all the time with people. Oh, what about, especially like for estimating? Oh, you're going to know all our secrets of the trade. You could let our competitors know. Yeah, first of all, the things that we sign, we're happy to sign any non-disclosure agreement, no matter how comprehensive and 15 lawyers have written it. We don't mind, because we've got no intention of ever breaching that. And we have our own protocols in-house for our own security of how we handle data. And it would be a very short-lived career for me if I got a reputation that I had breached privacy of any client. So that's just a no-no for me. So they don't have to worry on that. We sign the NDA. It can be, we're an American-based company. I'm here in Vegas. It can be under USA law in any state they want. It's fully enforceable on me personally. I'm the owner of the company, and I stand by that. I mean, we're very professional. But where we can offer them savings is like the cost efficiency. I mean, you'll see all these things 60 to 70% cheaper. But we can give you an estimator for $3,500 a month. What's that? That's like say $38,000 a year. You're not going to get an experienced estimator in the United States for that money. And these are guys with 5-year degrees, worked in Singapore and big construction companies, or Hong Kong, or in Dubai. They're not coming from building shanty towns. These are guys coming off of high-rise luxury skyscrapers. So cost effectiveness is there. I wouldn't say the 70%, because we're not looking. We look after our people. If you want to go to the Philippines and hire somebody for $5 an hour, good luck, because you get what you pay for in life, and they're not going to be the caliber of people. My people, I pay them well. That's why they're still with me after all these years. We have a great team culture. Even in the lockdown, we have Christmas party on Zoom, and we do games on Zoom. You got to do what you got to do to make it work, right? Everybody gets a birthday card. Everybody gets cash on their birthday. We have bonus systems in place. I have a small profit sharing for a core of people in place, because I own the business. I don't need to be greedy. If those, say, 20 people are making it happen for me, I'm going to share with them, and they all know it, and they've had the money. And when I get a good time, they get good times. So cost efficiency is definitely there. You're going to save money. You're going to save 40, 50% minimum on what you're paying here in the States. Then there is scalability. You can hire my 10. You've got a big job. You can hire my 10 drafters for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, and then the contract ends. You don't have to hire somebody and then you've got to keep them for the whole year. Or if you have to go out and find 10 individual freelancers in the United States, that's going to be pretty hard, and they're not going to be a team. Where my guys will come as a team of 10 with a team leader, with an account manager. I'm personally behind it. You can speak. Any of my owners can speak to me. I'm available 7 days a week. Reasonable working hours, and I'm pretty much available. So scalability is something that we got a peak delivery on the job, and we need. Oh my goodness, we need 12 guys for 3 months. Well, outsourcing is the answer for that one. And then time zone advantage, like here in the States, now it's 6 or 7. So it's at 4 o'clock in the evening here in Vegas. It's something, I think it's 8 o'clock in the morning in Manila. So I do a meeting from 4 till 7 every night with my team there. I do the handover, and then I go on and do my evening and go to bed. And when I wake up, there's the drawings all sitting on my computer ready for me to have a look at and send them out. So you're getting faster turnaround of work, because if you did the work in America, you have to wait till the next day to do it. Where you can send me a red line drawing at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I'll have it on your desk at 8 o'clock in the morning, because my guys will do it in the Philippines. So that is something that people don't take into consideration enough, the time zone advantage. It is not a disadvantage. It's totally an advantage. Now, saying that, when we have estimators working for people, like we have in Boston, we've done quite a bit of estimating, and they want to be able to have access to the person, to the estimator. So we just align our workers in the Philippines hours to align with Boston time. So it meant that my guys had to do the graveyard shift, but which we paid them for that. And obviously we had to get people who were willing to do it, and they were. But that means then the guy in Boston, in his normal working hours, he can speak to my guy anytime. That's if you're having a one-to-one relationship. But like, if you give me a bunch of drawings, you don't need the whole team to be on the American time. So there's a lot of advantages that people have to get over the hurdle. You're not losing jobs by giving it overseas and outsourcing, because what happens, and we keep telling people, most building contractors, estimating departments are not that big. They might have 5, 6 guys, sometimes quite big companies. And then, so it means you can't price everything. So you're losing out. You're not pricing your maximum potential. And we all know that it's a numbers game. If you want to get a number of bids, for every 10 bids you put out, you might have a chance of getting 1 or 2. So the more bids you put out, the more chance you're going to win work. So what we can do is we can say, look, send us, we'll do the takeoff. We'll do the study for all the discrepancies in the documents. We'll do all the RFIs for you, and let your skilled, experienced guys who know your company, let them focus on this, on the risk management, on the pricing of the job, the negotiation, and being up in front of the client more, instead of in a back room doing takeoffs that we can do at half the price. And that's it. So actually, it's securing those estimators' jobs rather than losing any jobs.
Right, and that's the same conversation that goes on with AI, right? People thought that it would replace people's jobs, but all it does is it takes care of the monotonous things, or things that are below your pay grade that can be handled by somebody else, and you focus on the high-level stuff that you need to be focusing on.
Well, what I said to a lot of people, I said, where did AI come from? It's human beings, right? We've people who've had the time to sit somewhere and think about it have created it. So the more time human beings have to think and create and plan, the more efficient and the better we work, rather than having to, at my age, if I'm working for a builder and they say, okay, Colin, you're going to do all the takeoffs for this estimate. Well, if you're going to be paying me a hefty salary to sit there doing takeoffs, you're crazy.
Yes.
Really, you're crazy. I mean, pay me for my experience to look at the documents, see where the risk is, look at the pricing, make sure that we're competitive, not too much, not too little. Make sure the client, keeping the client in communication, keeping everybody happy, not sitting in a back room taking off quantities. And I see a lot of 45, 55-year-old estimators taking off quantities. It's madness.
Wow. So that's quite the resource. Let's talk about the 4 divisions within ADDMORE, because there are 4 distinct divisions, and I want my audience to have a clear understanding of what you guys do. So you decide where to start us at.
Okay, so the first and foremost was the shop drawings, which we do for millwork companies, tiling companies, partitioning companies, floor covering companies. We'll do their production drawings. We'll do their cutting lists for them to put into their factories, place orders, cut materials, and buy materials. That's our bread and butter, because we've all been in a factory environments for fit out. We're all interior specialists. We have a lot of civil engineers in the company, and we do civil engineer takeoffs and bills of quantities. We do a lot of different things, but we have a predominantly exceptional core team of experienced fit out people. So architectural drawings, the architects, to do the DD drawings and the CD drawing sets on a job is a massive, on a big, like the Fontainebleau, it is massive. And no architectural practice is carrying that volume of people with them. So they're going to have to outsource now, outsource onshore, nearshore, offshore. There's a lot of very good drafting services coming out of Colombia lately and South America, which is, I know I've been watching a few companies there, and they're very professional and they speak good English. There's a lot of advantages there, same as the Philippines, something I've looked at myself. So we offer to do that heavy lifting, tedious drawings and let their architects focus again on the important tasks. I mean, obviously they've got to review it and check it, but they're not going to sit there for weeks and weeks just producing elevations and floor plans. And, you know, sometimes the people who do those drawings, there's a lot of, you know, not a lot of drawing sets are perfect out there. So I think there can be a big help to them if they bring in the manpower to do it, which they can afford the manpower at the rates that we offer. It's same with interior designers. We can help with them with if they have any production drawings, or if they want. And again, for architects and interior designers, if they have to do work in BIM and they're not experienced in it, we can offer that. You know, because when you work in BIM, you have a working model. Somebody has to keep updating the main model. Well, if you don't have the people for that, you know, it means the model falls behind, and then you've lost the benefit of BIM because you don't have the up-to-date model. So when you're reviewing stuff to make decisions, the model's not up to date. Well, what's the point of having it? So we can do that for you. We can update the model. All we need is the information. Then we have pre and post construction, quantity surveying and estimating. Being a quantity surveyor, we really focus on taking off quantities. So something popped up there on my screen. We do taking off quantities, which is a huge asset. Bills of materials, bills of quantities, risk management of the estimates, feasibility studies, budgets, cost estimates, change order management with reviewing the risk management, contract administration, preparing valuations, interim valuations, final accounts, claims. We do all of that. I have a great bunch of QSs in my company. And when it comes to things like claims, I even have a bunch of guys that I have worked personally with, and we've partnered up. They're independent guys, one in England, one in Dubai, one in Australia, and we will join forces if we need to on a claim. All of us are members of the Institute of Arbitrators. Good estimation, a good claim resource for a small company who doesn't have to go to a big claim company that's going to really cost them a lot of money to chase their claim. We can do it for them at a very reasonable price. Then we started a virtual studio. The virtual studio is really the BIM, all the stages of BIM. And we do AutoCAD 3D modeling, and we do photorealistic renderings. So we do, for some real estate developers, we'll do some, or even for the hotels, we'll do a shot of a bedroom or of the building, or we'll do a fly through. That's something else we offer, and that's something we'd like to develop. We've got a small team working on that. So the virtual studio is only a team of about 10 people now. I'd like to see that running at 25 people. So I'm trying to get more business in that field. And then because we're in the Philippines, we're in the business process outsourcing business. So let's say you've got your business there, and you're not able to collect all your money, and you don't have time, and you don't want to appoint somebody full time. We can do all the accounts payable, accounts receivable, follow-ups, and you have proper reports and sheets on your desk. And we maybe have to do 2 or 3 days a week for you. We'd have to work. So for the small business, it's a really good thing. If you're doing like the virtual assistants, there's a lot of companies offering virtual assistants. But I mean, when I see some of the rates they're charging and some of the CVs, experience, it's not where you want to be. Again, we're looking for degree qualified people from, let's say, an executive secretary level stage, people who I can leave work with you without having to micromanage them. They experience virtual assistants and still at a very good price. So that's something we're doing as well. And staff leasing, like if you want estimation team, but you don't want me to, I can either give you a price per set of drawings and tell you how much I'm going to charge, or you can say, right, Colin, I want a senior estimator, an estimator, an interim estimator, and a junior. And I want that team, and I want them for 6 months. And let's see how it goes. And I put them together on a monthly rate with just a fixed fee retainer. and then they're just an extended part of your team, but a lot cheaper, and we can run them on the same hours as you, and that's been working very, very well. And again, if you've got your own estimating team, just outsource the takeoff quantities, just outsource reviewing the documentation and the bulletins for all the discrepancies and all the RFIs. Make sure that all that risk mitigation is picked up without tying up your main estimator for weeks and weeks on end. Because when you see these big jobs, the package sizes of drawings and documents, it's huge. There's just hundreds and hundreds of drawings to go through. And, you got to go through the demo plans. You got to go through the kitchen plans. You got to go through the FF&E plans, because there might be something in one of those drawings which you'll pick up on, which is a conflict. And that's what we do. We have a team of people who are very good and very meticulous at going through that in our estimation team. And that's working well. And I'd like to see that grow. Another 10 people in that field, taking off quantities, supporting estimation teams, not necessarily having to do the pricing, but supporting them on all the rest of the process. That's something that it's a good thing to get into if you're a small to medium business, especially subcontractors. We haven't focused enough on subcontractors, and that's who we're going to be. The small businessman, he might be a great tradesman. His company's now starting to get to a point where there's a lot of management stuff where he's maybe not so experienced. We can step in there and help him. And here in the States, even me, if somebody wants me to come out and look at their business for a week, go through their factory, give them my reports on, you've got this many people, what are they doing with their health and safety plan? How are they working that? How is the flow of work? How are they recording their workers on sites and tracking their vehicles and plant? I have all the experience and background in that. So even personally, I'm more than happy to do that. And I love to do that because you're really helping people.
Wow, Colin. So, everybody listen up. I mean, the thing is, you're increasing your capacity for your estimation. Your retention is going to be through the roof if you're telling people, don't worry about the takeoff. You'll just be checking on it before you submit your estimate and your bid. I mean, that retention is a big thing right now in the industry that people are very concerned about. So put yourself in the driver's seat, Colin, what's the best way for people to reach out to you to find out more about ADDMORE Services?
Well, they can contact me directly on my email. I'm very open to everybody, which is caddley@addmoreservices.com. Or they can go through the admin at addmoreservices.com. And my office manageress, who's been with me 25 years, she's monitoring that all the time. We're very quick to respond, and we're very quick to price jobs. We'll normally have a price back for jobs within 48 hours, maximum 72 hours would be a long time. It'd have to be a complex project for that. Or they can contact me via the website. You go to our website, www.addmoreservices.com, and go to the contact page there, and they can get through to me there. Or they can find me directly, 702-541-0227. And I've got no problem with receiving the calls. All I ask, guys, is remember what states and what zones you're in, because I'm getting these calls at 4 and 5 in the morning. I'm getting a bit long in the tooth for that. So, so I have no problem with adjusting my time for it to make a meeting with, other time zones. And if I have to be on a call at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I will do that. That's part of our service. That's what we do. And we offer custom packages. We do other services than those 4 I've mentioned. Like we do project management. I've just connected up with a gentleman that I know well, he's a very specialist in kitchen design. And a lot of now, since the COVID, buffets are not so in, and they're converting them to food halls. And there's a lot of kitchens getting renovated, restaurants getting relocated and refurbished. And that's something that there's a group of us joining together with our fit out knowledge and our engineering and capacities and their knowledge of the design. And they can, because they're locals and they've got all the sign off, they can sign off on all the requirements. I do see that ADDMORE's going to develop a onshore teams, as this I've been asked by different people. Well, look, Colin, I don't mind you doing this job, but it's a big job. Can you have a design coordinator on the job? And then we don't mind if you're doing your teams overseas, but we want somebody here that we're talking to and directing. So I can see that's going to be happening, and I got no problem with that either, to grow our onshore base. So it's exciting times where we have a lot of very good pre-qualified people, in addition to the 67 that are already working for me for the last 3 years. And we would like to, expand and grow the business and give these people. And for me personally, having been in the Philippines, it's not the poverty-stricken place that everybody talks. There's a lot of wealthy people there. There's properties through the roof, and there's some tropical paradise islands. Like every country, it has its problems. So some of these people, when you're giving them the facility to stay at home in the Philippines and work and earn the same money as they would in Dubai, they're not having to sign a contract in Dubai for 3 years, leave their family, maybe only see them once in 3 years. You're enabling them to stay at home, provide their family at the same caliber of income, and they really appreciate it. I mean, I get a bit humbled by how my guys treat me, and I'm not one for the sir in Asia. I know it's an Asian cultural thing, but I'm Colin, and whatever I can do for people who work for me, we've got one poor chap. His son's. He's been with me in many, many years. His son's only 4 years old and he's got cancer. Really breaks my heart. We support the hospital as much as we can with charity. From, when we have a good year, we make sure we do good things. And that's what we want to grow. It's not just grow. At my age, I don't need another car. I don't need another house. I want to have a good income and I want to put something back and do some good in the world. That's what I would like to do.
Well, Colin, I appreciate your servant leadership. I appreciate your time. I think I kept you a little longer than I asked for, but I do want to thank you for the trip around the world, educating me and the audience. They're going to get a lot from this, and we definitely look forward to connecting with you and your team again.
Okay, it'd be a pleasure. I'd like you to meet my team on their own with you, different members of the team, and you can talk to them directly and ask your questions. I love the way you host the show. You made me feel very relaxed. As you know, I do talk a little bit but that's because I'm comfortable with you, and I hope that everybody out there, because I'm comfortable with you, we're able to take something from this to understand that ADDMORE Services is a company that we're a good team partner to have.
Absolutely, and I vet everybody that I work with, so the fact that you're here on the show, top notch, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, really do.
All right, thank you, Colin. Have a great night.
Yeah, thanks. Good night, everybody out there. Yeah, cheers, Lance. Take care, mate.